Alexyz, let's start this.
Yeah, before we go further, I think I just don't know two people out here, since it's such a small group. I don't know you there.
Jason.
You don't look behind you. From
Jason from Navin Times.
Navin Times, okay, and the guy behind there. Don't look behind. Yeah. Your name? Cecil, okay, hi. Okay, we know each other. So let this be an informal thing, because I'm a cartoonist. Not that it's a fun thing being a cartoonist, but I don't know where. No, it's okay. I don't know where Raj Tilak is, because we have done a trade bookmark actually, and the bookmark is my trademark. Where's the bookmark?
Yeah, this book later, at the end of the session.
No. I wanted to be given now because, okay, you'll all stand up because that's my trademark, is to have a little bit of laughter before we start. Rico, ready? Okay, join your hands. Take a deep breath. Up, down, and Marcus, I didn't hear you laughing. No, one more time. Give me some time here to warm up. Okay, join your hand. Take a deep breath. Okay, fire off now. Just feel comfortable to ask anything possible.
Okay, I'll start. First question for me. It's about your name. Now, your name is Alex Raphael Fernandes, right?
Right.
So, how did the YZ get added to Alex?
There's somebody in advertising here, Tonkel. Okay, when I was in advertising, there was one time in my life where I was, apart from doing a course in sociology and psychology in St. Xavier's College, I did my post-graduation at Bhavan's College, where I did advertising and public relations. So before I could even finish my course, I got a job in an advertising firm as a copywriter. And in those days, there was a movie called Zorba the Greek. How many of you all remember Zorba the Greek? I think Tino might remember. So his first name was Alexyz Zorba. And somehow my colleagues in the office connected me with Alexyz Zorba in the movie, and that's how I got my name. They started calling me Alexyz. I was not into cartooning then. So later on, maybe 8 years later on, when I decided to do cartooning, I took the name Alexyz, but I gave it my own concoction, Alexyz. Alexyz Zorba is Alexis. Okay, that's how I got my name.
In your younger years, you were an avid footballer, right?
Right.
Maybe inspired by the Brazilian legend Pelé. So, what made you shift from sport to art?
No, I was very good in football, actually, very good in the sense that I almost got selected to play for Bombay in the juniors. But at the Cooperage ground where we had our trials, I was kicked on my leg. I remember the guy who even kicked me, Prince Vandal actually his name was, and I had a knee problem, and ever since then I am suffering from pneumonia. So after that I couldn't play football. That was the end of my football career, and wanting to be another Pelé actually.
Apart from art and cartooning, did you work in any other organization or in any other country as in any other profession, and what were your experiences there?
Cartooning was a long journey actually. I started my career as a typist. I was an ordinary typist. I used to get 60 rupees a month those days. And then I graduated to be a stenographer. I think I got 120 rupees after that. And then I managed to get a job as a storekeeper in a British company. I used to wear a tie and go. In those days, I'm talking about the early 70s. It was a British company and we had British offices in that company. But 1 year as a storekeeper, I didn't enjoy the work, so I decided to join college. And that was my turning point actually. I joined St. Xavier's College and then my life took a total turn. But even after that, I had friends like Claude Alvarez and Norma Alvarez, and we all came to Bombay. Claude managed to get aid from a Holland firm, and we used to run a farm in Valpoi, in Thane district. We used to work with the tribals actually, and then we had a school, a non-formal school. So I was a teacher in the non-formal school and to shuttle between working with the tribals and the school. Till the school closed down and I started cartooning. So I was about 8 years into teaching. I taught art in a school, and I thought I would make a better impact if I started cartooning because of the time I had in St. Xavier's College going for all the social work camps, and I saw how the condition of the country was, and I thought through my work I could create some kind of social awareness. We tried to do that when I was with this group with Claude and all, but I thought I would make a bigger impact if I did cartoon. That's how I got back into cartooning.
Among all the media houses you work with in Goa and beyond, which has been your most memorable? And we'd love it if you could share some anecdotes.
I think I did my round of all the papers in Goa except the Goan now. The Goan is the latest one, which I'm planning to get back to. But the best time I had, I think, was in the Herald I just joined when the Herald paper took off, and that was when the language agitation cropped up, And I had, fortunately, at that time, the paper was just taking off, and Rajan Narayan, who was the editor then, we decided that we'll take on the agitation and make it the platform for the new newspaper. And that was the time that he really gave me a lot of space actually. I used to do 6-column cartoons, 8-column cartoons. I used to do a full page. During the morchas, I remember I did the paper was then 8 pages. I used to do people walking in the morcha right at the bottom spread, or people going for the morcha, and I personally used to take part in these morchas actually. Also quoted arrest during that time. So it was great fun during that period. I always call them my glory years, because that was the time I felt I made my best impact as a cartoonist. And I think at the end of it, we managed to get Konkani as the state language. And I think thanks to Rajan actually, and the impact we made with the public and the media and the people in power. So those were fun days actually, though we did a lot of good work, very good work. In fact, when I went to France somebody invited me, some Goas invited me, and they told me that my nephew knows you. And when the nephew came home, and he told me, Alexyz, so I'm so happy to see you. But he said, I told him, I don't know you actually. But he said, I remember you because when you used to do the cartoons, he was from Magasai. We used to wait for your cartoons. And your cartoons used to inspire us to do roadblocks. So that was the kind of impact that Herald had. I won't say just my cartoons because the newspaper also played a major role in doing what we did.
Fantastic, that must have been memorable. Now coming to that, we all know art is subjective, and you must have probably been told by editors that you work with, probably to tweak your cartoon or to change it entirely. As an artist, how did you feel about this, and what has your relationship been with the different editors you work with through the years?
As I tell you, the best time I had was working with, though initially I worked with Dr. Erasmo Sequeira. That was the first paper. He had a tabloid called Goa Monitor. And I remember Mario Miranda then introduced me to Erasmo, and I did a lot of work for him. And then we had a newspaper called West Coast Times. I shifted to West Coast Times, and that was all the way in Margao. I used to go all the way to Margao to give my cartoons, and the amount of money that they gave me for each cartoon was 10 rupees. So anyway, those were the beginning of my years as a cartoonist. So cartooning has never paid. So it was just my passion for Goa and for cartooning that I did what I did. And my relationship with the best time I had was with Rajan Narayan in Herald actually, and it was also my worst times because Rajan Narayan was very possessive of me, and they hardly used to pay anything, I used to do 30 cartoons a month, 6 columns, 8 columns, and my salary used to be just about 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. So that was the scene actually, and I had published my book called Sportoons, and I said I'll give my sports cartoons to Naveen Times, and because these guys never used to pay me anything, and it was nothing to do with politics, so I met Mudaliar, the then editor of Naveen Times, and he said, okay, I'll publish you and pay you. But Rajan Narayan was very possessive of me. He wouldn't allow me to move out of Herald. And he said, either you work for Naveen Times, and the next day I was going to Bombay, and he called me up. He said, how come your cartoons are appearing in Naveen Times? I told him, you all hardly pay me anything, and I'm not a confirmed journalist, I'm a freelancer. He said, nothing doing, you're not supposed to do any work for any other paper. And I just walked out of Herald. That was my stint with Rajan Narayan actually. It was a very sad state, but I was happy I left it because he just wouldn't pay me what I should have been paid actually. And but my stint with Naveen Times was even worse. For 5 years I worked with Naveen Times. They wouldn't allow me to do a face of a politician. I never did in those 5 years even a single face of a politician, because they never used to say, they never told me you can't do political cartoons, but they just never used to publish. So the next day I never used to do a cartoon. But this went on till 5 years, till I got an offer from Ashwin Tombat, who was the editor of Gomantak Time. So things changed there because there I started doing good work actually, because I did something called Alexyz Shakuti, which I did for 10 years running. It was a tabloid-sized page, but again, the salary was hardly anything. The peons in the newspapers used to get a better salary than me. But as I said, it was not important for me. The money was not the criteria. I was happy with the kind of space I got and the kind of work I was allowed to do. But even then came Sujay Gupta in Gomantak Times, and I told him, you should pay me extra for the cartoons I did on Sundays. But even he refused. He used to pay any newcomers, especially the girls. He used to always pay them little more than what I used to get. So then I told him, Sujay, I am stopping my work. If you want, you can fire me. So I just stopped doing my Shakuti cartoons, which I did for 10 years running, non-stop, every Sunday. So those were good days. I felt bad that I couldn't do it because again, my cartoons were very much appreciated, the kind of work I did on every Sunday. After that, I joined, then these boys in Herald called me back because, Rahul got married. This is between us, okay now. He got married and the boys told his wife, Deirdre, who had just got married, boys told we should get Alexyz back. And that is how I got back into Herald. And again, I got a lot of space and I enjoyed my time. But then Rahul and his wife had problems and I think they divorced. And then Rahul said, I'm sorry, you also have to leave. And that is how I left Herald again. And then the good break I got was during my stint with the Times of India. Srinivas, the editor, then he gave me a free hand. He told me, go ahead, you do whatever you feel like doing. And I felt I did good work in the Times of India. But then after the COVID came, and then the editor we have now, he told me enough is enough. And I had to stop doing my work in the Times of India. So that is my stint with the Goa newspaper and the editors.
Okay, to continue that question, could you recollect what was the first mistake you probably made?
Pardon?
A mistake, an error in maybe portraying, or did you make any such mistake in portraying anything in your cartoons for your newspapers that you worked with? And if you did, were there any consequences you faced?
See, during the language agitation, a lot of my cartoons had to come up in the assembly also, because of the kind of cartoons I did, and there was a time when in the assembly we were told that if we don't tone down our writing and my cartoons, we could even be put behind bars. And I remember doing a cartoon of me and Rajan Narayan behind bars, and we kind of challenged the government actually to put us behind bars, but nothing happened.
Okay, now this is besides your journey as a cartoonist. You have been known by people very close to you.
Excuse me, I've got a little problem with my eyes actually. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, so people close to you, you come to be known among them as you come to be known among them. Okay. You come to be known as a master manifester okay, to people, among people who are very close to you. I've spoken to at least 3, and they say that Alexyz, if he sets his mind on something or he wants something, you know, he gets it. Eventually, he gets it. Like for example, you love traveling, okay, and as a result, over the years, you traveled to several countries, you know, they say without spending a single rupee. So, could you tell us a secret? How do you manifest your dreams into a reality?
I think one of the big plus points that I had as a cartoonist, though I was never ever paid a cartoonist salary, never. But I had my plus points, and I never regret being a cartoonist, because if anybody who appreciated my work was the Goan diaspora, and I even give credit to Fundusang Orient. They were the first people who recognized my work, and they invited me to have my exhibition in Portugal. And that was the time I had 2 exhibitions actually, and my work there also was recognized, and I was among the 60 cartoonists from all over Europe, and we were 2 of us who were honored as and given a special award for the kind of work we do. So my work in that sense has been very gratifying, and what Misha is trying to tell you is, I had dreams about traveling, but I never had the money to travel. So I was very influenced by this book called The Secret. I don't know how many of you all have read the book The Secret. Anybody here? By Rhonda Byrne. Yeah, so she uses the law of attraction to get whatever you want. You dream of something and you think, you visualize, and it happens. And this dream of mine actually happened, and my dream also was the Goan diaspora actually. I was very attached to anything that was Goan back here in Goa, and the Goans abroad, they recognized the work I did as a Goan cartoonist, and I kept writing to them, and they really and I'm glad to say that I've traveled to, I think, about 3 or how many continents. I went to America, I went to Canada, I went to Australia, New Zealand, I went to the Gulf, I went to, and one of the best things that happened to me was having my exhibition in the House of Commons. Every time Keith was here in Goa at the moment. Every time he came to Goa for a press conference, I used to sit behind. I had my sketch pad with me, and I used to sketch him. At the end of the press conference, I used to give him my caricature of him. So this happened about 3 times. Then eventually he said, "Alexyz, I must take you to England." And that is how I had my exhibition in the House of Commons. And I think that was one of my highlights of my cartooning career, I think, that I managed. And not only that, he was quite impressed with my work, and then I had about 4 exhibitions in England. Thanks to Keith Vaz, he saw that there was something in my work, and that is how I landed there. What else I can tell you all about my trips? But this is what I'm trying to tell you, how I materialized my dreams of thinking that I could go, and I went. I think it can happen with anybody. The main thing is to dream, is to visualize your dream actually. And it happens. It has happened to me, and I didn't spend a single pie. People all around helped me to get to. And I remember I stayed in America for 47 days. I traveled from one end of America to the other end of America, just staying with Goans. I had 2-3 exhibitions here and there, That was the fun part of dreaming, that you could travel on your own without any money for that matter. That was amazing. I still do it with whatever I want to do. Even now, there are many things that I try in life, and they do happen. It takes time. It's not as easy as it sounds. For me to go to England took 10 years, but it happened.
Lovely. Now, I want to ask you, do you have or have you had any regrets through the course of your career?
No, absolutely no. If I had any regrets, I would not be here actually. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be with journalists. I enjoyed my cartooning. I still enjoy doing work, and I still do work, and I will continue doing work. So no regrets, absolutely. But there are I brought a few cartoons that I just want to tell you all some instances. I just want to tell you about, this was during my days in the Herald actually, and this was a time when Dr. Proto Barbosa was the Minister of Tourism, and as I told you, I had a lot of freedom doing the cartoons I like to do, and this was a cartoon I did of Dr. Proto, and that those days he was trying to promote 5-star tourism, which the general public was against actually. We were not very keen, and even the Herald was not very keen on what Dr. Proto Barbosa was trying to project. And I drew this cartoon of him reclining on a nude. And you know what he did? He phoned the proprietor, Dr. A.C. The proprietor A.C. Fernandes, and the proprietor of Herald called me to his office, and he told me, stop making fun of Dr. Proto Barbosa. So this was a cartoon that really created a lot of stuff. But when I had an exhibition and I had portrayed Dr. Proto Barbosa in my caricature, he was the first person to come and buy it. Many years back, I met Dr. Proto Barbosa on the beach, and I asked him whether he remembers. By that time, he had become senile, I think. He couldn't remember me. This was my time when I went to the House of Commons. I met the Prime Minister of England, John Major actually. He was the ex-Prime Minister of John Major. And I introduced him as Alexyz Minor. I used to do a lot of sports cartoons. So this cartoon of Richard Hadley, I don't know, Marcus will remember, but this was when the New Zealand team came to Goa, and I did this caricature of Richard Hadley, and he had just broken the world record, and I thought I would do a caricature and give it to him. Of course, this is just this is not the original. I had framed it very nicely, and I wanted to give it to him, but the Goa Cricket Association wouldn't allow me to give it to him. In the first place, the manager of New Zealand said, no, you're making fun of Richard Hadley, we won't allow you to give it to him. But then it was shown to him, it was shown to Richard Hadley, and Richard Hadley said, I don't mind receiving it, I like the caricature. But when I was supposed to give it to him, the Cricket Association, Ramakant Kalap was the president. He wouldn't allow me to give it. He said, I will give it to him. So this is another anecdote that I would like to share. These were the kind of cartoons I did for the. This was part of Alexyz Shakuti. This was the full page cartoon that I used to do for the Gomantak Times, the weekender. I really used to enjoy doing them. Also had the pleasure of giving the meeting the President, Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa, Prime Minister or President? Prime Minister. When he came, I gave him the caricature. I was so nervous. I went and gave it to him, and instead of saying something muito obrigado, I said merci beaucoup in French. That's okay. This is one of my favorite cartoons I did of Damodar Mauzo. It says the pen is mightier than the sword. You know, those who might remember that Mauzo was, I think, is still given police protection, I think, because the extremists were after him because of the statements he made against communalism or something like that. And there was a public meeting in Panjim, and I did this cartoon which came in the Times of India actually. I think that's it from my side. I don't know, you have any more questions?
I have many questions. We're not done at all. What advice would you give Goa's aspiring artists and cartoonists?
Anybody here wants to be a cartoonist? I don't think so.
But it's going live on Facebook.
Yeah, but the sad thing of what's happening in Goa today, and not only in Goa, but all over India, is that the papers don't have the freedom that we had earlier. So we are going through very bad times actually, and I don't think it's possible to do cartoons in Goa anymore with the kind of management that we have. But there is a lot of work in the social media. If you want to be a cartoonist, you can say whatever you want to say on the social media, but not in the newspapers. The newspapers today are controlled by business houses, and they are all pro-establishment, so that's not much you can say. That's a very sad story.
Alexyz, you are now 80 years young, correct? And you're ready to go. So what projects do you have on the drawing board? Any projects ever come?
See, over the years, I've been doing a cartoon almost every day, and not only for the newspapers, for magazines and for books. So I have in my collection, I have at least about 40,000 cartoons, I think. I've done 5-6 books. So I plan to do, maybe if I could do another 6 books very easily. So that is there in the pipeline, that I want to do books, whatever I can. Yeah. And the other thing what I started doing right now is writing poems. I've been writing a lot of poems actually. I did one book called Goa, Going, Gone, and that book is all about my cartoons and my poems. But I plan to do a poem every day now. I've been doing it for some time. I call them WhatsApp poems because I stopped writing messages actually. I write them in verse most of the time, whenever I have time.
On a more personal note, you've become diabetes free after being on insulin doses several times a day. That's what you told me. So how did you manage that? How did you achieve that?
I think this is off the topic. Huh?
That's okay. We want to know.
No. I was taking. I was a diabetic patient for the last I think 30 years. so 30, 40 years, at least 30 years. And I was on insulin for about 20 years actually. And of late, I do a lot of research myself. I don't trust doctors now because most of the doctors are not doctors, they are business people. And I've realized that they give you extra doses because they get freebies to go abroad. And I landed in the hospital sometime back because I was given an overdose of insulin. And I said enough is enough on my side. And I did a lot of research. I don't know how many of y'all would believe this, but for the last 6 to 8 months, I am, what do I do? I take just turmeric powder, just a teaspoonful of turmeric powder, quarter teaspoon, with a little warm water, and ginger. I never have tea now. I only have ginger tea. I have a little bit of garlic and cinnamon at the in the night. And it is very strange, very, very, very strange. It's almost magical, and I don't have any diabetes now. Give me a big hand. I don't know, but you all could try it out. But each body reacts differently. I don't know. Maybe my body and my thinking is different because I think of a lot of things positively, and I try not to take any stress because Jonquil will tell you stress is very bad for diabetes, and I try to avoid stress as far as possible. So it's a culmination of a lot of things that make you what a person you are. Maybe it's a combination of all this that helps me. I really don't know. I really don't know. But it's up to you to try it out if you feel it can work out for you. It has worked for me, and it's still working for me. Thank you.
Okay, this is a final question from me before the floor is open. Okay. Your friend and a chronicler in his own right, Joel D'Souza from Asada, who is no longer among us, he would often refer to you as Goa's Minister of Laughs, with laughs spelled in your signature LAFFS. How important is laughter to you?
I think laughter is a part of my persona. Even I started this little, whenever I have a crowd in front of me, I try and get people to laugh. I mean, I think laughter is very important aspect that we should cultivate, and people have forgotten how to laugh because of the times we live in. And laughter helps you to be stress free, you know. It's very important. And laughter is the best medicine, because when Raj Tilak asked me, what quote do you have to give to the journalists, then that is what I wrote. Yeah, so laughter is good, and in fact, when we wind up this session, we'll have another session of laughter. But any questions from y'all, I would be happy to answer anything possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So, any cartoon that you did which someone took offense to, not political, but like any other, like why did you portray me like this or like that? Any?
I think you know, cartooning is an occupational hazard. You know, when you're doing cartooning, you're always in the opposition. It's bound to happen. And there were a lot of instances but one very particular instance I remember is during the language agitation, people used to tell me not to do the kind of cartoons I did. But regardless, I went on doing what I wanted to do. And during the language agitation again, a lot of politicians didn't like the kind of cartoons I did. You know that the kind of reputation we had in the Herald during those days was very good. and politicians are really scared of the newspaper and scared of the kind of work we did in the newspaper. I remember getting a call from one of Churchill Alemau's henchmen saying, "Don't make fun of Churchill Alemau." But that didn't stop me. Regardless, I went on doing whatever. As I said, cartooning is you have to be in the opposition, because as you know, once a politician gets elected, he never does whatever he promised that he would do. We are always in the opposition, and it's fun. I really enjoyed my stint, though I never got paid as a cartoonist. But I enjoyed my work, and I still enjoy the kind of work I did. But cartooning in the newspapers is not the place to be in Goa. Definitely not, 100%. You can write that in the newspapers also.
You forgot your stint with Goa Observer while you were talking. You
Yeah.
mentioned all newspapers except Goa Observer.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, that's how I know you. Yeah, I did little work with the Goan Observer also. But Rajan Narayan, I think for one thing he was very possessive of me. Like the time when I was in the Herald, he didn't want me to join any other paper. Not that he was paying me a salary. As I keep saying this, the peon in the newspapers used to get more than me. So that was the status of a cartoonist in newspapers in Goa. But regardless, I carried on and I enjoyed my work. I never regretted, I never said that whenever I was I never regretted being a cartoonist, and I still don't. I really enjoyed my work.
Ever your kind of family ever said, like you said, you were not paid very well. So ever your family said, what are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
Exactly. You know, when I started cartooning, there was a stage when I decided to leave Goa and go to Bombay. And I did leave Goa at that time, and I went to Bombay, but I lasted only 3 months in Bombay. I had some family problems, some domestic problems, so I came back. But I never regretted, whatever. But I live a very simple lifestyle. I have a wife, again, who is very simple. Shitkodi is enough for us. We don't require much. And there was always food on the table.
Alex, just some observations. The most important point I think from this talk is that cartooning is one of those careers which has just collapsed in Goa and in other parts of the country too.
Yeah.
Partly because of the free speech issue, partly because I don't know, maybe they don't see money in investing there. That's the first point. The second point, this full freelancing thing. Okay, see, I have two very strong opinions on it. I feel if you are attached to a paper, then you can expect a salary. If you are not attached to a paper, then you have to spread yourself thin among non-rival papers. And that is where technology comes in. So you said 2,000 or 3,000. See, at that time we were earning 1,000. I'm talking about 1987. So 1,000 was not a bad sum, but we were looking at Goa as a stepping point to greater jobs. And I knew one thing, if I had to depend on the Goa market, I would have started. And as a freelancer, there was no question of surviving. My question here is, how do we bring in technology to get a wider reach? Because when we were in the field, suddenly modems came in, tablets came in, email came in. So the need to explore these kind of things. These are just two observations I have.
Yeah, I think Rico has a point where you can really spread your wings and get into other areas. But I personally, the papers that you worked for, they didn't allow you that kind of freedom to do any other work, And I was always loyal to the paper that I worked for, always. And I always saw that the work I did was like a full-time job. though I never did a full-time job in the sense, but I never used to do anything else. Because a cartoon used to take a time, and I used to look at every cartoon as a piece of art. It was not just a cartoon or making a political statement. For me, it was always a work of art. I always felt that, it was just more than what I wanted to say on or make a statement about. And as I told you, money was never my criteria. I somehow managed. I had a house, I had I had some coconut trees, and I could manage to live without any sweat, to put it plain and simple. It all depends on your lifestyle also. You see, my background in St. Xavier's College was my turning point. If I had not gone to St. Xavier's College and the kind of work that I did in the camps that I went all over India, and the kind of people that I interacted in the villages of India, so money was never the criteria, and it still is not.
Don't let the proprietors and publishers hear you saying that. But the question before us is how to make these careers viable. Because to my mind, it's really sad to see cartooning, photography in the 90s. Now it's on upsurge again.
Yeah.
But photography, from having full-time photographers, suddenly we ended up with no photographers in the 90s. Now it's picked up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But now AI is coming along. So I'm saying, like, where do we fit in ourselves? I don't see it as doom and gloom. I'm not a Luddite. I used to be an anti-technology guy myself at one stage.
Yeah.
So now I'm in the other camp. I'm trying to see how we can make use of technology. But there are still a lot of questions.
But there is a lot of work on the media. Rico does a good job actually of doing work for so many newspapers, and people can do it. I am not techno savvy actually. I am happy with whatever little do I do. And apart from that, there's another side of me that that we have not spoken about. I'm a very community guy. I get very involved in the village. I still do a lot of things in the village.
Like you started your Sanjuma festival.
So that takes a lot of my time.
You started your Sanjuma festival.
Yeah. There are 3-4 things that I've done in Goa or in my village that are still carrying on.
Which ones?
Plant festival.
One is the plant festival, which is about 30-40. See, with the plant festival, we have grown about. We have all the best nurseries in Goa coming to Seolim, and we sell about more than 1,000 to 2,000 trees every year in the village. And if you calculate the number of trees we have sold in the village over the last 32 years continuously, without any break, so we must have planted about how many trees? 30,000-40,000 trees. So that's a lot. And the other thing that I did was to revive the Sanjao festival. We have a boat parade in Seolim that doesn't happen anywhere in Goa. That's happening in Seolim. And we get about 5,000, 10,000 people coming to watch that. And that was something that I initiated. Of course, I've given it to the local boys now, but that is something that I did. And then we have a statue of Beethoven in Seoul that was just lying around. Nobody bothered about it. So I managed to get my friend Raphael Fernandes, who is the concert pianist in Vienna. She comes and performs there, and so we have kind of revived that statue, brought it to life, and kind of introduced classical music to the people of Badri. A lot of people come there. And the other thing that I am involved is in trekking. I belong to a group that it's called Eco Trek. We go trekking every month, and we go trekking once a year to the Himalayas. So that is something that we have got thousands of people now. We've got about 5,000-6,000 people who we have helped to trek all over the country, which we do every month. So apart from cartooning, this has kept me busy.
Just to add to what Alexyz said, because you may have not explained it properly. So I'm a few years younger than him. I know his background. What he's talking about in the 60s is the context of India where there was starvation, hunger, mass starvation. So like people in Maharashtra were dying in the villages. So from Bombay they would go for social camps and all that. So that shaped their consciousness. They grew up with that kind of awareness that we have to do something for the country, which was the dominant discourse in their time, little bit in our time, not so much. Secondly, he came back from Bombay with this group of idealistic youngsters who were fed up of the rat race there, and they opted to come to Goa in their 20s. One of them was Claude Alvarez. The second was Alexyz.
Claude Norma.
Claude Norma, Joss Peter, the famous crime lawyer, criminal lawyer, as we call it. A few others. They all came down and they set up, what farm was it? In Valpoi. It's still
we had a rustic farm.
Rustic farm. They set up an NGO and all that. And,
We were the first NGOs in Goa.
Yeah, they were the first NGOs. So it was quite impressive thing. My first encounter with him was, I was sitting at George Bar because we used to get the cheapest meals there, 3 rupees 50 paise, kind of non-veg dish, beef, whatever, and you would feel full the full night. So I saw these two guys sitting there, this uncle and one another uncle. And I was 19, so I could call them uncle. And then it turned out, I learned much later, the other uncle was from my village, who Raphael Fernandes. Both of them were becoming part of Chogle's Sportoons. So Chogle was planning a sports paper called Sportoons, which unfortunately didn't come out.
It didn't
was
come
a good
out.
idea.
It was sabotaged by the Goantak people.
Okay, so
the other group.
That charge was always there, that the existing publication didn't want a sister publication because they were getting higher pay and all that. But he ended up in Herald. Soon later he ended up in Herald, and then he was available. There are many jokes that we can narrate from that stage, but if you give me 2 minutes, I'll tell you one of the jokes. So one day we were sitting in that Herald office, where the old Herald office is, in that lane at the side of the post office. And Derek is sitting on the counter there, on the table there. We have a long table. And this guy catches someone from the road and he says, come, he says. Like there's just someone walking here. He said, meet Derek, do you remember? He said, meet Derek. That guy is telling him, no. This guy is telling him, yeah. He's saying, yeah, this is Derek. And Derek is saying, yeah, I'm Derek. That fellow had no intention to meet him at all. He just grabbed any random fellow. And we are like laughing after this guy's one. One day he was coming towards me and I was walking towards him. Suddenly he pretends that he cannot see me. Instead of wishing me, he goes and hugs someone else on the road. And that guy is talking to him. How's your mother? No, she's fine. How's your grandfather? No, he passed away and something is telling him. So there are many Alexyz jokes. But the funniest is this. We went for a union meeting to Lucknow. And we didn't have reservation, nothing. So at Bombay, we met these Bombay Union of Journalists guys. And we were in our early 20s. They thought we were totally mad because we were like college kids. Okay? We were behaving like college kids. So they thought these guys are mad. They didn't know what to make of us. Along the way, they more or less, they also started having fun with us. But when we were in Lucknow, there were two rival camps. One was
I don't remember.
IFWJ, Vikram Rao, and the other one was some other rival camp.
I don't remember.
So they were shouting, Mata. Suddenly Alexyz goes out and Fukri Zindabad Some fellows got up and they are looking like I could see them looking. What is happening? Where is this third party coming from? And then some fellows shouting Zindabad, Murdabad, they were shouting
I don't know.
That was the level of our interaction in those days. And we had a have fun gang. About 19 of us youngsters used to go in that have fun gang. No?
I don't remember.
Vidya Hebde and Sunil Naik and Suresh Kanpurkar. Anyway, but we are going off the point.
No.
Because it's becoming very serious otherwise. So now we have to remember that, Alexyz. You can write a full essay on these jokes.
So cartooning, this was the kind of fun we used to have actually those days. Those were good days.
But the younger people give you a lot of freedom, Alexyz. As long as they are small, they want to build up their credibility.
Exactly.
Once they get established, then the curbs will come in.
Yeah.
It's there anyway. No?
That's life.
Herald would carry him on 4 columns, 8 columns, top of the page, and they were like, It was a campaigning paper. They were into on the concrete movement. They increased their circulation.
Those were great days actually.
Though of course I was in Herald, but I never supported that concretist point of view at that stage because I thought a lot of people were making use of it also to
Yeah, there are a lot of politics, inside politics involved also. Wherever Rajan is, there is politics.
But he read the situation well. So there was a piece written by Ashok Rao Kavi. He said, when the Narayans move around, the heavens quake. So there are two Narayans in Goa, Rajan Narayan and Narayan Atavale. And both of them are non-goons. Ashok Rao Kavi has written, and they are making the earthquake in Goa.
Yeah, those were great
Very
days.
critical piece. But those
Fun
were
days,
hectic
yeah.
times, hectic times. If you look forward to cartooning, what kind of future do you anticipate for it? Globally, nationally, locally? Is it growing? Is it shrinking? Is it?
I think cartooning is growing more in the social media rather than in the newspapers. The newspaper cartooning is almost dead. Almost dead. Yeah. There's no fun doing cartoons in the newspapers now because they don't allow you that freedom that we had earlier. So no, fun is gone. The fun is gone. So I can sit back and do books now with all the cartoons. I've got so many. That's what I'm planning to do actually. And that I'm a little slow in that also.
Which was the golden era of cartooning in Goa and India, according to you?
I think the old times were good when Abu was there and Sudhir and Mario and Vijay and R.K. Lakshman. Yeah.
They were intellectuals, no?
Yeah, it was a different kind of cartooning. The Goa newspapers were never very pro-cartoon. Never. There were always strings attached to it.
See, I think in Goa you were hit from two sides. One is after the 90s and liberalization, once money came in, the freedom went up. But beyond that, the Goa papers were used to free work. Because before the 80s, except for Navid and Gomita, it was not possible to earn from journalism.
Yeah.
So they were used to that trend and they kept on that trend as far as cartooning goes. And it almost seems that you need a day job if you want to be a cartoonist.
Exactly.
You
can't do it
full
full time. Yeah.
Exactly. But some like Idar-Udar and who are the other cartoonists during
Now today we have Idar-Udar is not in Goa. I mean, how can you do a cartoon when you're in Dubai and you can't get the free.
But to be fair to
you
him,
can't get the.
good topics.
He does come out with good, but he would definitely be a good cartoonist if he was here.
Yeah.
I appreciate what he's doing, no doubt about it. There's this guy Billy Toons also who's doing, and he tells me how can I do anything, the kind of papers we have. So that is the problem with cartoons actually. Nobody wants to be a cartoonist now.
The challenge is to get a model which will work and which will give you space and which will pay you.
Exactly.
We are not getting that model.
No, even otherwise also, even if there is no pay and there is a paper that which you can express yourself, I'm willing to sit down and do work for them. Money is not the criteria.
No, don't say that. If all three were there, see, I'm not saying all of us work for money, or even I'll work if I get paid 1 rupee and the job is enjoyable. But having said that, you need a certain bottom line so that you don't feel you're depriving yourself.
Yeah, that is there. But we don't get an ideal situation anywhere. Where can you get an ideal situation? In any job for that matter.
You don't think it could be worked out through a mix of...
But you need people like that to work it out, no? You need...
What's the future of graphic novels?
Well, it's making little waves now, no? Graphic novels are doing. You know, people, you know what's a graphic novel now, no? Yeah. So that's good. So there is a lot of work as an illustrator, as a cartoonist in the social media, in the books that we can. There is still freedom in India, there is no doubt about it. But
I saw Mad magazine in Broadway the other day, 10-20 years old Mad magazine, being sold for 100 rupees. What we lack, I feel now, we lack independent journalists who will become entrepreneurs of sorts.
Exactly.
To find those resources to make it viable. It's not easy, but it's not impossible, I feel.
It's not impossible. Nothing is impossible. I agree with that.
What is your view on the use of like earlier cartoons were very hand drawing, was the dominant thing. So are you very, like your thought process, are you very old school and you would say hand-drawn cartoons are better, or how do you look at the use of graphics in cartoons? The use of technology?
I know. I personally don't, I'm a hands-on cartoonist. I'm the old school, okay. But I enjoy doing, because even as far as doing cartoons by hand, it has more value than you do a printed cartoon. If you want to, not that you get a lot of money, but a cartoon can sell a lot more than a printed cartoon. People, there are buyers that way who buy. I have sold some. There are some good buyers. I have sold some work sometime now and then at the exhibitions.
No, but Alexyz, you're looking, sorry, I have no one to say this, but just mentioning. You're looking at one side of the picture. What if you use technology to take your feet forward? Say the Wacom tablets which you get, which just basically mean you're using a digital stylus or digital pen to speed up the process. I used to be anti-computer myself because the union had convinced us, I'm not blaming the union, we were also that computers would lead to unemployment. Today we know it's not true. A few people did get squeezed in the middle, no denying that. At that stage, some people lost their job, but not, the numbers didn't go down. On the contrary.
No, but I enjoy doing work by hand. So I'm become quite. I'm as fast as I would sit with a yeah. I don't know, but I enjoy doing work by hand, plain and simple.
No, try it, give it a chance.
Yeah, I could. Yeah.
Elaborate on what were your any cartoonists that inspired you?
1 minute. Tell me.
You didn't speak about the cartoonists that inspired your work.
Okay, very simple was. See, when I first started cartooning, of course there was Mario Miranda around, no, and he being a Goan and he being also from my college in St. Xavier's College. The first thing I did was to go and tap on his cubicle in the Times of India in Bombay. I went to his cubicle and I said, Mario, why kar rahe? And he was very welcoming and he introduced me to a lot of, in fact Marcus would know that all this Midday and all. I did work for all the newspapers in Bombay actually. From Midday to, I did a lot of work in Midday and Indian Express also, sports cartoons actually. So Mario was definitely the guy who helped me around. I knew him personally. I stayed with him. I went for his funeral.
Abu Ibrahim you met?
No, I didn't meet Abu. I found Lakshman a little bit, pardon?
Isolated.
Yeah, I remember Goa Union of Journalists had invited R.K. Lakshman, and then I presented him with a cartoon, with him in the cartoon. He said, no Ray, it doesn't look, it's a gift, no? You accept it and you say thank you. No, it doesn't look like me. Yeah, it was very, it put you off actually. Not here, I don't know where it was. Yeah, in the old office somewhere.
As far as Lorna goes, did you discover her or did Valentino discover her or what?
Who?
Lorna.
Lorna?
She was your classmate or Valentino's classmate? Dingo?
No, must be Dingo's, not mine.
Not yours.
No.
Alexyz,
Yeah.
how was your speech in West Coast Times? I was there that time. I forget now.
These guys in West Coast time, when I went to the office, they are talking in Marathi. We got this nice guy. I understand. I speak Marathi actually. And they're saying you can get this guy for cheap, 10 rupees मध्ये पैसे. I see, and at that time, in the beginning of your career, you just do whatever you get. You are not a chooser. So I did it for some time. I enjoyed it.
There was a strike which lasted, I think, about 8 months. 6 or 8
Yeah, it didn't last long. The thing is, your work improves every time you do work. Even Misha was telling me that I was telling one of her colleagues is saying, I don't have exhibition. But the important thing of having exhibition is when you put your work on the wall, anybody for that matter, your work improves. So I've done about maybe 20, 30 exhibitions. With each exhibition, I feel I've improved my work. So it's important that people see your work, talk about your work, give you criticism, appreciate whatever. It helps a lot. That way, Fundação Orient has helped a lot of, at least helped me in organizing my exhibitions in Portugal, and Paulo Varela Gomes was a great guy to see.
The thing for a freelancer is that he or she needs the assurance that their work will be used. Because it's only then that you will put in your best.
Yeah.
Otherwise you will put in your second best.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
And people think doing cartooning is nothing, you know. You see, there is a lot of thought involved in it. It doesn't just happen. You require a lot of reading to do. You require a lot of knowledge to do. You require to understand the psychology, the behavior of politicians, the newspaper, the management. So many things go into a cartoon. It's not easy. So, and most people think, and even management or even most editors think, you know, doing cartoon is nothing. It's not that. And I don't think we had any good editors in that sense. I think Times of India, Srini, I was happy doing work with him. Rajan Narayan to a certain extent was good. Mudalaya was one of the worst. Naveen Times, to be frank. Sujay Gupta also is not very good to work with. And
Come on, Alexyz, when we were at the middle level or the lower middle level, we used to support you quite a lot.
yeah,
Maybe because we had to fill empty pages, you know. and of course, there were hardly any ads in those days in Herald. The empty pages staring at you. We said, Alexyz, come, give him 4 columns, 5 columns, you remember, no?
I remember. And they used to
we
wait
didn't
for
have
my.
We didn't have too many holy cows, hardly any holy cows. So, tally it, chalo, Baba.
I know. They used to wait for my cartoons, and that's why I used to get 6 column, 8 column. I'll never get that again.
Yeah.
Never. I did 1 page. Yeah, the Herald days were great, wonderful.
We used to wait for you and we used to wait for Mini for his photographs. Fill the page.
Yeah.
There was no matter, there was struggling to get
Exactly.
the matter.
It was fun time.
Now there's a glut of matter, no? You have
Yeah.
too much.
Anyway,
Okay, any other questions?
Jonquil, you've been quiet.
She made a point. Tell him. She's saying if you want to get you on the digital era, we have to gift you
An iPad.
an iPad. But I was suggesting even at 8,000 rupee back home, we can get away with other cheap. Provided he uses it.
Alexyz,
Yeah.
you succeeded as a journalist. Do you think you would have made a good comedian?
I wanted to be a footballer actually, more than anything initially. I think so. No, not as a comedian. I would like to be a singer actually. I think if there's anything else I would like to do now is to sing. For the simple reason that music, you impact more people than cartooning. Cartooning, you don't impact a lot of people. It's very sad that you reach out to very few people.
Do you like drawing from your youngest days?
From my
Earliest days?
I think I used to love drawing. You know, in the school I went to Dr. Antonio da Silva High School in Dadar in Bombay. We had a special room where we used to go from one class, we used to go to the drawing class. And we had a good drawing teacher, I think. I think that also helped, a good drawing teacher initially. Like we had a very bad maths teacher who was a sports master. So he used to see that I used to play sports, so I used to go very good in football, and he was very bad at maths. And till today I don't know how to multiply. honestly, I really don't know.
Which position you played as a footballer?
Pardon?
Which position as a footballer?
I used to play in the forward, back, centre,
Paul
half.
still plays, huh?
Paul still plays. I wish I could play still.
Veteran team. He has a veterans team.
Ah, yeah, okay.
All seniors played there.
Where?
Don Bosco.
Acha, tell me when you want to wind up. We'll have a little.
So you're planning to go with your boots on, or you're going to retire at some stage? Because this retiring is a dangerous idea. It
No,
makes
no,
you
no.
very slow.
I don't think I'll retire. I don't think I have any plans to retire. I think I'm planning now to do work again. Actually, maybe in the next 2 months you'll see me in the newspaper.
When people get a bit older, they think of books. Why is that? Books are more permanent or what?
Because I got about 30,000-40,000 cartoons with me here. I must thank my friends, 3 friends of mine. They have taken all my work and digitalized my work. So I have to sit down and just give it to some, sort it out actually.
Topics.
Yeah, I would like to.
Publishing work, your books was a struggle with you and all that initially?
Pardon?
Initially, getting your books published?
No, nothing.
No.
I did my first book called Sportoons even before I started cartooning.
And
And
that
I-
was a prestigious house, no?
Yeah, I went to India Book House and that was during the Asian Games, sports cartoon. And they said, why didn't you come earlier? So I was very shocked. And you know how much the book cost? 7 rupees 50 paise.
But it was on a pan-India topic. It was not
Yeah,
a Goa
yeah,
topic.
yeah,
That is very
yeah.
competing. Sports all over India.
Sports all over India. It was done for the Asian Games
It's
actually.
still in print.
No. I'm planning to
Reprint.
reprint it actually. Good fun.
Come now, we'll have a laughter session.
Zale, any
Now we are in a
final?
crying session.
Crying.
I'm always crying. For me, life is laughter and tears. You always see me crying. Always see me laughing also. Yeah, we'll have a little laughter session and that's it.
Yes.
There are some people who have not asked. The gentleman behind. Rakesh, tu kai song na more. And you also, Brian. Say something. Jason. Eva, Marcus. Ulay Jonquil, you also have not asked me anything. Yes. Okay, come on, let's have a final session. Okay, join your hands. What's your name? Your son? Oh, wonderful. Here. Wait. Okay, join your hand. Take a deep breath. Go down. Yeah! Anek padi ko dia. Okay, join your hand. Take a deep breath. Go down and thank you. Good boy. Azad. Pula naam kite? Shreya. Shri.
On behalf of the Goa Union of Journalists.
Hey, hold on.
Please sit.
Pule go.
Please sit.
Na re.
Okay, friends. So, as a small remembrance of these sessions, we have printed out like all of these previous sessions. We have printed small bookmarks, so you can get it endorsed, signed by our very own Alexyz, and you can keep it as a remembrance of this session. Yeah. It's a nice quote that we already discussed here. It says, it reads as, laughter is laughter, okay? Rooted commas. It spells as, L-A-F-F-T-E-R, not the usual one. So this is a different laughter. So laughter is the best medicine. Why do doctors don't prescribe laughter? Because they soon will be an extinct species.
You know,
Very nice quote.
there is a story about one guy who was about to die. He was given 6 months to live. I forgot his name now. He was given 6 months to live and he said, I might as well die laughing and he started watching all these laughter movies, and he cured himself. And then he came out with a book called Anatomy of Laughter, and he tells you how laughter helped him to live again. So try it out. Not y'all don't need it, but anybody else.
Anyway, so on behalf of the Goa Union of Journalists and the Executive Committee of the Union, I would like to thank.
No, I must thank.
Wholeheartedly, sir.
I must thank you. I
for
must thank.
accepting our invitation.
No,
and,
no,
you
no.
know,
I enjoyed myself.
part of this session.
I must thank all of y'all for coming and listening to Misha and myself. Thank you very
And
much.
we are really proud to have Alexyz as one of our stalwarts, as a member of the Goa Union of Journalists. We are really proud of you, sir, for
I'm
all that
happy.
you have done for Goa and otherwise also.
No,
I
no.
think this is all. Thank you.
I've done it for myself. I'm a very selfish fellow. Not to worry.
So,
Hari? Two more people
yeah,
have come now.
Sharmila and Lina. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Sharmila, you're coming now.
Yeah.
Arey, Leena, hi.
So I would also like to thank Misha for conducting this session so wonderfully. Like, your questions were very apt and to the point.
Yahoo!
Yeah, thank you very much. And she took time off, and we visited Alexyz some 2 days back, and there was an interaction, and I think the outcome is in front of your eyes. Like, so wonderful session. Thank you once again.
I'm very happy, huh? I'm very happy. Because you always learn something from a situation like this. I'm going back a different person today. Thank you.
And I would like to thank especially Rico for recalling all those wonderful moments of yesteryears.
Yes.
It really it was an eye opener, and we enjoyed all.
Rico is the chronicler of our times now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Anyway, so that's it. So on behalf of the union, we would like to present a small token of love and appreciation.
Oh, Baap Re.
Small one.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay, so I would request Paul, Rico, please come on the stage. One is yo. No, yo.
Hey, Misha, where you going? You have to come in the frame, man.
Mario would always say, the oldest donkey is not the wisest donkey.
Yeah, please.
Come, Paul.
Yo. No, come.
Who is that?
Always.
Vishal, sorry. Here,
Yes. Marcus, yo.
Marcus, come. Yeah, very funny.
Yeah.
Hasan, cut.
Thank you.
Baba, yeah.
Lovely, yeah. Wow.
So, if I request you to kindly present